Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Let us welcome His Holiness Bhakti Raghav Swami Maharaj with three loud and enthusiastic. Once more, Hari Bol. No light has fallen down. At least one light should fall down. Hari Bol. It is our greatest fortune to have His Holiness Maharaj here in the year 2025. I think Krishna has recognized how badly we all are situated. So Krishna is sending special mercy starting from 2025. And Maharaj is here. Maharaj, we all work in software companies. You can imagine how much in depression we are and how much we have messed up our lives. And there is a good reason you are here, Maharaj. In 2025, we want to hear from you. Mainly, Maharaj, how do we connect back to our roots? How do we, in this situation where we have to work according to somebody else's terms, day in, day out, though maybe some are earning more, some are earning less, but there is no happiness. So we want to learn from you, how we can connect back to the roots, Maharaj. And there is a reason you are here. And last time you were here, Maharaj, we did a program in one of the gated communities. That day you had inspired us by showing the videos of Malaysia and many other places all around the world where you are propagating the varnashram system. And one amazing thing that we told last year was 50% of Prabhupada's mission is still in the making. And you spearheaded that responsibility, Maharaj. And that has inspired many of us. Some of us are, doing different ways, trying to do some cow protection here and there, but still we need a lot of motivation and guidance, Maharaj. And let us welcome His Grace Sriram Prabhu. Where is he? Hari Bol! Let's welcome Sriram Prabhu with three loud and enthusiastic Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Can somebody offer this garland to Prabhuji, please, from here? Yes, go. Yes. And your name, Prabhuji? Please.
Jayadev.
Let's welcome Jayadev Prabhu with three loud and enthusiastic Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! And where is Maharaj's personal servant? He was so much in touch with us, guiding us what should be done. Let us welcome Prabhuji's name, Prabhuji. Shivanand Prabhu with three loud and enthusiastic Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hare Krishna. So we don't want to delay to hear from Maharaj. But Maharaj, this small thing, we have started this last year in June, and His Holiness Loknath Swami Maharaj came to open the center. We are so fortunate, and since then Srila Prabhupada is sending many devotees here, and we are really fortunate. We are eagerly waiting, Maharaj, when you will come to Hyderabad and when we'll get that opportunity from you. So please guide us, Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Can everybody move 2 feet ahead? You can't see the 2 feet, that's invisible, but I can see. Yeah, please, this side also. Because don't sit on the way. You can come inside. Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Mridanga player can be a little closer, possibly. Whoever is playing instruments like Mridanga, Kartal, right up front. first row. Yes. Okay. Okay.
Jayam Shripad Paramahamsa Pri Parachakacharya Stotra Satta Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhai Charanardan Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Samabhata Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Rantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande All glories to the assembled devotees, glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki.
Bhakti Raghava Swami Maharaj Ki Jai.
Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Taksurundaritam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhuktale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavanscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Sha Hai Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyasya Vipa Sindhu Vyayevasya Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Om Surabhyay Namaha. 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 Mukam karoti vasaram pangom langayate girim yatkripat maham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Yatkripat maham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. Jai Sri Harinam Sankirtan ki. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki. Gaur Pimanande. So I'm very happy to be here. It's always very nice, and actually the desire should be the desire of all devotees to be amongst other devotees, especially enthusiastic devotees, as you all are. Very wonderful to have darshan of Mother Cow, both before entering and also inside the temple. The subject matter that we need to address, which is actually in many, many ways very critical and very urgently needing attention. And it is not only because our founder, Acharya Srila Prabhupada, spoke about this quite extensively in terms of reviving, isn't it? Srila Prabhupada, one of the purposes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement, one of the purposes of Srila Prabhupada's International Society for Krishna Consciousness, in pursuance of the ideals of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is actually to revive, although it, in the age of Kali, seems practically impossible to do. But as we all know, impossible is not in our dictionary. As Prabhupada, I'm sure most of you have heard that the word impossible is in the fool's dictionary, Prabhupada said. Precisely. So the task at hand, which has been actually building up and has been the dream and the planning since the time of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, coming down from the 6 Goswamis, is how to bring back actually the culture, Vedic culture, especially great challenges are there. One of the important, basic components, one of the basic components of the Vedic culture, which may be difficult for most of us to understand, especially one who has been raised in modern cities, is to begin meditating upon the fact that Vedic culture is primarily an agrarian-based culture. Agrarian-based culture where it is Krishna's plan, Krishna's grand plan for the vast majority, I mean actually not only the vast majority, but for everyone to more easily and more quickly realize the primary goal and purpose of life, which is actually self-realization. That's, in the Vedic culture, that is very clearly established that after so many lifetimes, Bahunam Janmanam Anti Jnanavam Mantra Pajati Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha. It's rare enough to get a human form of life, even more rare to come in contact or to come to understand Vasudeva Sarvamiti, that Krishna, Vasudeva, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We were just reading this morning in one of the purports of the Bhagavatam that it is actually fundamental for all of us if we want to put an end to the miseries that all of us, as you rightly pointed out, especially, I mean everywhere, but especially more so in the whole modern setup, modern cities that we have built up in the last, in one sense it's quite recent. You know, this whole modernization, which is based on industrialization, which is based on urbanization, is quite recent. I mean, the way it has developed. And it is further taking us away from what is meant to be the more simple and more ideal lifestyle. So now the question is, okay, which is what you were pointing out. We have some understanding, different levels of understanding. One of the important points is that the more deeply we understand those instructions given by our founder Acharya, and those instructions naturally are in keeping with our previous acharyas as well, that the lifestyle that Krishna and Balaram, you have today Sri Radha Gokulananda deities. So Gokul, I mean, it brings us immediately to Vrindavan. So the model that we should all be meditating upon is Vrindavan model, Vrindavan village. We should try to understand that actually the tangent in which we have been going for the last maybe 2 centuries is taking us away further and further from what is meant to be more natural. So how to reconnect, how to reverse, because it seems practically impossible to reverse. But Srila Prabhupada wanted us to reverse. One of the, maybe a little shocking, not so much shocking, but it's sobering. Prabhupada made many times sobering statements. I'll share one with you. Srila Prabhupada explained how modern civilization is a doomed civilization. And if you can look at you can look up the word doom to understand what that is. Yeah, it means like it will be finished. Modern civilization, because it is built on unsustainable principles and concepts, people analyze or study different empires that have come, the Roman Empire, the Greek Empire, Mongol Empire, etc. Empires, according to observation and study, generally last for about 200 years. And this is where we are now. We're at the end of approximately 200 years since the days of when the Industrial Revolution began, approximately 200 years ago, in connection with the French Revolution. It has brought about what we are seeing and experiencing and living today, which is actually taking us once again further and further away. So there are a number of things that we can do, of course, where we are, wherever that may be, and whatever we may be doing. But we need to understand that there are certain prescribed duties. And I think it's helpful to add the word Vedic duties. Everyone is working. Most people, of course, nowadays there's a lot of unemployment in the world, so not everyone is working. But most people are at least looking for work. Those may not be working. We all have to have some kind of work or occupation. But our Vedic literatures give us what is meant to be the most ideal, simple, scientific, and sustainable occupations to meet more easily our basic necessities while keeping always in mind what is the prime goal of life. In modern day society, we've forgotten that, to a large extent. Devotees have, of course, because of coming in contact with Vedic knowledge, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, but we're caught up. We're caught up in a whole modern system. And and so how to deal with this situation? One of the important things, and I'm not sure if I had shared this with some devotees here before, but I'm traveling for the last maybe 10 days and for the next 3 weeks also here in India, and then from next month going around to different countries. I've done that before, but it needs to be continued. We need to know how to, I would not say adjust, but how to help bring about some of the major changes. You see, our movement is not simply a spiritual movement. Our movement is an educational movement. Our movement is a cultural movement. And our movement is a social movement. Lord Chaitanya is known as the greatest social reformer. And the social changes that we need to introduce are meant to gradually bring us back to what is meant to be the norm. There is a norm in terms of how we should live. There is a norm in terms of what kind of education we should give to our children. There is a norm in terms of how we should make money. These are based on standard Vedic sciences. They're called Chatur Vidya. Chatur Vidya. How many have studied Chatur Vidya? How many know what are the Chatur Vidya? It's understandable because it's not being taught actually in the schools and colleges in the world. Yes.
We have studied Chatta Vidya. Chatta Vidya. Chatta means that we put in dustbins.
Correct. Which falls in the category of avidya. Yes. We all have heard before Srila Prabhupada mentioning how modern education, he described it in 2 words, right? Atmahana, killer of the soul. That's also a very strong statement. Acharyas, they need to make such kind of strong statements to kind of shake us up. wake up, Jeev Jago, Jeev Jago. So we are in many ways actually we are at a crossroad, because 50 years ago when Srila Prabhupada spoke about these things, and he spoke quite extensively, it's all there. As a matter of fact, this book here that I want to share and request, the photographer is ready. The photographer is ready. Yeah, I'll show it. Yeah. It's called Speaking About Varnashrama. You can take a picture now. Speaking About Varnashrama is bringing together all the major quotes by Srila Prabhupada on the subject matter of Vedic sociology. Varnashrama actually means Vedic sociology. We cannot avoid, when we live in society, we cannot avoid the science of sociology, which is actually meant to be based on these four sciences. And these are referred to actually in this book and so many other writings of Srila Prabhupada. In the introduction of this book, just for those who may not know, actually this book was commissioned by the GBC way back in 96. What is special about 1996? Huh? Yes. The Srila Prabhupada centennial. Srila Prabhupada appeared in 1896. So 1 or 2 years before 1996, a group of devotees were selected. I was not part of the group. I came to know later about this, the outcome actually of their research. The mandate at the time was to research about community development. Community development is, of course, very important. The devotees, it's nicely explained in the introduction here, soon realized that we cannot study communities, we cannot really understand about community development unless we look at the whole concept of varnashrama-dharma. And therefore, one person was selected to compile on behalf of the committee all of these quotes. And in the introduction, there's a very important explanation being given, which can possibly begin to address the question you were asking a little earlier. It's like, what to do? What to do? What to do? Those of us, those of you actually, I don't have a job in the cities, but those who are caught up in the cities, those have families, those have different responsibilities, what to do, the more we begin to understand that there's a particular norm, there's a particular way to make a living, to meet our different needs, etc. So in this introduction, one of the things that it's nicely explaining is that Srila Prabhupada established temples in our cities for two main purposes. One was to train individuals who could become, of course, ideal devotees, but who would have a particular role to play in terms of preaching, continuing to preach, to bring more people to Krishna consciousness, number one. And the second part, which has probably never been highlighted and which remains largely, I would say, unknown to the vast majority of devotees, was that Srila Prabhupada wanted to train another group of devotees who would either live in our temples or be congregational members connected with our temples, and prepare them in different ways to actually return to the agrarian lifestyle. So that means two types of training. One is to be in the city for the primary purpose of preaching. And the second is to actually explain to those who are coming to our centers and prepare them also to take up what is meant to be the norm in society. If we actually understand statements like modern civilization is a doomed civilization, modern civilization will soon come to an end, then we should start thinking, well, what should I do? How to prepare myself to deal, not only because it will come to an end, but because even at present we're faced with so many challenges. As devotees, we're working in environments which are not at all ideal, not at all conducive for practicing Krishna consciousness. We're often, a few years back, our Ministry of Education within our society had mentioned that, I think it meant something like 85% of our students are going to ordinary schools and not really getting the kind of association from their peers or from teachers. So Srila Prabhupada was very clear, and he gave many specific instructions that that we need, in order to revive actually Vedic culture, then we need to establish, specifically Prabhupada gave that instruction, amongst others, varnashram colleges. We need to educate ourselves, just like we have become educated in doing so many things in modern day society which are actually not natural, or which are not at least in keeping with the prescribed activities. Probably majority of devotees don't know or don't realize that, and that's explained in the 7th canto of the Bhagavatam, majority of householders, what is meant to be the means of livelihood, and if you know the answer, you can raise your hand. What is meant to be the means of livelihood for the vast majority of householders? Only householders should reply. What is meant to be the means of livelihood for the vast majority of householders? Someone can say? Yes? Huh? Yes. Krishi. Agriculture. Huh? Because that is actually one of the 4 sciences. See, if we don't know what the 4 Vedic sciences are, how we will ever revive Vedic culture? Vedic culture is we're doing something. We have temples. We're doing preaching. We're doing many wonderful activities, distributing prasadam, all of these things, which is in line with preaching. See, we need to understand cities, modern day cities, are meant primarily for preaching, whereas the country is meant for living. The Vedic understanding. So, in many ways, it's up to every single, I would say, congregation to look at, because we're all in different situations. We have maybe a small group of people, some have larger, some have this resource, some have that resource, etc. So in the Vedic culture, we need to strive to understand principles, basic principles. Once we understand principles, then we can build on that. And it actually begins with, the first of the 4 sciences is called Anvikshiki, which means the science of philosophy. And that is the basis of how we can begin to understand what is meant by the other 3 sciences, which are the science of education, Trayi, Dandaniti, the science of politics. Politics are there. And the 4th science, Varta, the science of economics. And the science of economics is Krishi Goraksha Vanijam Vaisha Karma Swabhavajam. Very difficult actually to to some extent we can do something in cities, but the full manifestation of what is meant by the lifestyle which is advocated by Shastra and by our acharyas can only be fully or properly understood actually when we live in the country. We can only, just like we have many problems in terms of relationship. I mean, in the world today, you know, countries are at war, and within different countries, people are not getting along. So many social problems are there. Even within our devotee communities, one of the major problems for all of us is sambandha, relationship. So, this aspect of relationship is not sufficient simply to know or to understand that we are all servants of God, but we need to know, well, how are servants of God meant to function and to live within society? So, one of the fundamental principles, therefore, is that different temples, different communities need to begin the process that Prabhupada actually requested us to do 50 years ago. Maybe something like 1974, 75. If not, in 1975 is 50 years back. Prabhupada made the following statement that every single temple, every single project that we have immediately should begin. Immediately, Varnashram College means so that we can be introduced to these principles, these four sciences. Now, some simple practical things we can all begin to do. Instead of using so many commercial products that are the only ones practically available on the market, we should connect with the few, we don't have so many, communities where devotees are growing food, where they're keeping cows, where they're beginning to make different products. You know, every day we have to take shower, we have to wash the body, we use soap, we have to brush our teeth. Well, we should know that actually all the commercial soaps and all the commercial products are actually very detrimental in so many ways, and they're all polluted. We should gradually, and I'm sure you know an increasing number of devotees are doing that, based on the awareness that we have, we should replace whatever is commercial, just like food. Food, we don't know the source of our food. Unless, practically speaking, we don't know the source of our milk as well. And if we continue eating or accepting different produce from unknown sources, then we're simply continuing to encourage a false system, a false narrative. And we are simultaneously becoming implicated and becoming polluted in so many ways. So one could make a whole list, and actually that should be part of the undertaking, I would say, of every temple situated in the cities. And there should be a plan. There should also be a plan, and this is beginning to happen on a small scale. It needs to increase. There should be a plan for some of our families to prepare themselves to actually relocate in villages. You see. Not so easy in the beginning, because we have, the whole concept of varnashram in itself, there are many question marks. It's a very controversial topic, and to talk about it is not at all easy. It's not easy, but it is necessary because, and I always or often give the example of the term Vaishnavism. You know, Srila Prabhupada introduced Vedic culture, and it was by the great efforts of his Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who established the glories of Vaishnavas, isn't it? In that great debate that was there, I believe in Midnapur in Bengal, between the Brahmanas and the caste Brahmanas, like that, and he was successful in establishing the the glories of Vaishnava practice, etc. So it began actually with Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who at the time, when he was a young person, Vaishnavism was a dirty word. Was a dirty word. Yeah. Because in the name of Mahaprabhu, in the name of Vaishnava dress, those who were even chanting the holy name were engaged in all kinds of illicit activities, sinful activities. So since about 150 years, by the efforts of these two great personalities, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, then it was relatively or easier for Srila Prabhupada to carry this message. We have now similar kind of situation in terms of converting this, some people call it the V word, varnashram, the V word. They don't even want to say the word varnashram. But varnashram is glorious when it is properly understood. Not only is it glorious, but it is, we have statements in the Bhagavatam and by Srila Prabhupada that if one is not part of varnashrama structure, one is not even considered a human being, isn't it? Because the whole process is meant to gradually bring us from the lower modes of nature to the higher mode, so that we can take up more easily, more quickly spiritual life. So, so the message is the following. Our founder Acharya, in keeping with the previous Acharyas whom he is representing, in keeping with the Shastra, so Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, has told us, has reminded us, and you were sharing that a little earlier also, that 50% of our mission is yet to be fulfilled. And that 50%, now I'm going to ask another question here. How many of you have heard about or are familiar with what is called the four movements or four phases? Something very important to understand. Some of you may be asking, four movements? We have one movement. Unity in diversity. We have, of course, Krishna consciousness movement is one movement, but it's like Lord Chaitanya in 5 features, right? So there's a very important essay, and I'll ask another question. How many have heard about an essay written by Srila Prabhupada called Gita Nagari? 1, 2, 3. Gita Nagari essay, not farm. Farm, more people know, but Gita Nagari is an essay that was published in 1956 in the Back to Godhead magazine that Prabhupada had started in the year 19... When did Prabhupada start his Back to Godhead magazine? Okay, 1944. Yeah, 1940. Certain years we should know. Yeah. So in this essay, very interesting topics, and one of them is Prabhupada, even at that early age, before going to the Western countries, Prabhupada already had the vision of how he would introduce the Krishna consciousness movement, Mahaprabhu's movement. And he speaks about 4 phases. And it's very important for every single devotee, especially our leaders, to understand, because this is what Prabhupada did when he went to the West. He systematically introduced these 4. And the first one to use Prabhupada's own terminology, is called Sankirtan movement. Meaning, in the context of Prabhupada's explanation, introducing the holy name, isn't it? The chanting of the holy name, and also introducing transcendental literature, books, the holy name in books. That's the first of 4 movements. That's how we can go anywhere, as Prabhupada explained. Go anywhere, sit under a tree, start chanting Hare Krishna. Some people will come and ask you, what are you doing? it will immediately draw some attention. I mean, in a foreign country, in India, nobody's going to be bothered, maybe because they, whatever. But in the foreign countries, people will definitely be curious to know why this person is doing that. So that's the first, and we are doing this still after 50 years in our temple. It's one of our main activities. We're doing japa, we're doing harinam whenever it's possible, and we're distributing books. You have all these wonderful books, and you distributed over 400 sets of Bhagavatam. Jai Grantarashram Bhagavatam Ki. Jai. So that first movement is there, and it is ongoing, and it is very strong, and some people have totally, from the beginning up to now, I'm talking about some of the Prabhupada disciples, dedicated their lives fully for distributing Prabhupada's books because he gave so much of importance. Second movement, kindly follow what I'm trying to explain, what I'm sharing in terms of Gita Nagari. Second movement, Prabhupada called it temple worship movement. Temple worship movement, establishing places where the Archa Vigraha form of the Lord. People, they'll hear about the holy name, they'll get a book, they'll be interested, so they need a place to go. So they come to a temple. And there they are introduced to Krishna. That is the second phase. Third movement, Prabhupada called it spiritual initiation movement. Once people come, after hearing the holy name, after getting book, then it's basically congregational preaching. We give them proper knowledge, proper understanding, proper training so that they can become committed, isn't it? So that eventually, committed means that they become initiated, they become formally part of Krishna's spiritual family. That is the third movement. The fourth movement, follow carefully. Carefully follow. It's called classless society movement. Classless society movement is Prabhupada's term, not my term. Classless society movement. And initially that may mean, wow, we don't have to bother with classes, right? Classes. But that's not what it means. Yeah. Classless society movement means that everyone within whatever varna or ashram, because he or she is focused on serving Krishna. One is having the same goal and objective. Therefore, everyone is working towards the same objective. Everyone is engaged in seva, service, in so many different ways, but the same activity is there in terms of devotional service. Therefore, it is classless in that sense. And that is actually varnashrama. That is daiva varnashrama. That is daiva varnashrama. There are 2 types of varnashrama. Without Krishna in the center, without the divine aspect, then it is called asuric varnashrama. Or whatever is not having Krishna. It may be spiritual, but if Krishna is not there, then it is not complete. And what is it? Whatever is not complete means it is having some tinge of being asuric. So the first 3 of the movements we can easily understand, we can easily see and observe, they're happening. And because most of us have been introduced to these 3, we know them more easily and we feel more comfortable in dealing with them. The fourth one, classless society, varnashrama, is to this day remains alien to us. But we should know that, 1, 2, 3, 4, unless we go to 4, the complete mission will not be successful. So the big question is how to go from 3 to 4. That can only happen if we know about what Srila Prabhupada and our previous acharyas, what they had in mind. What they had in mind was, as I tried to explain earlier, is that we need to reconnect with our roots. The roots in the Vedic culture are, of course, the basic practice for all of us is to perform devotional activities, to chant the holy name, to hear from Shastra, all of the things that I'm sure all of us are doing to different degrees. But also, you see, there's 2 levels of dharma. Most of us are struggling to understand the first level, which is the spiritual level. That's called spiritual swadharma. What is one of the very simple definitions of spiritual swadharma is, and you all know, Jive Swarupoy, Krishna Itadas. We're all servants of the servants of Krishna. That is spiritual swadharma. And that is not, anyone who's been practicing for any period of time, whether it's 1 year, 10 years, 50 years or more, as we have devotees within our society, will all tell you that it's not so easy to just reach the perfectional state, because it's very confidential subject matter. The other level of dharma, in a similar way, is also hidden, not so easy to grasp. And we can only begin to understand to some extent when we more closely study the activities of the residents of Vrindavan. And when we take up, as suggested by Srila Prabhupada, some specific studies where we read about, what are the basic components of the Vedic culture? And there are 3, which are absolutely essential, and they're missing. And even in the cities, they're especially missing in the cities, but we can begin to some extent to reconnect. What are those 3 components which are highlighted by Grandfather Vishnadev Ashri? They're called the 3 gifts of nature: cows, land, and Krishna. Cows, land, and knowledge, which culminates in Krishna consciousness. Yeah. So, in the cities, we have access to knowledge. We don't have so much access to cows, and we every day we have less and less access to land, because there's more and more roads being constructed, and we don't have enough space on the land. Now we're making flyways and whatnot, and it's becoming more complicated. So in other words, this community, as any other community of devotees, let's say in our cities, where we are engaged in preaching, one is we need to understand that part of our preaching means also to introduce and to include this 4th dimension, this 4th movement, and to strive together to see how in practical ways this can be done. I mentioned a few ways. The food, we can do things in terms of food, we can do things in terms of clothing as well. Most of us are wearing synthetic cloth, which is not healthy. the textile industry, and we have one gentleman here who can speak on that as well. I mean, one of our devotees is promoting natural textile. Textile industry is one of the most polluting industries on the planet. And we are part of that pollution. We are being polluted by that, yeah. So there's a need, Prabhupada, when he told the devotees in Mayapur, you have to also, he guided or instructed, you have to introduce also handloom. You know, that's part of the Vedic culture. Grow your own food, make your own cloth, also make your own medicine, and build with local materials. Now, mind you, in Canada, that may be a little difficult. Or in most countries where it's cold like half of the year. But these are the basic, in other words, we need to understand some of the basic concepts that are at play, and then we need, every community, which will again be different, needs to analyze and study, okay, what steps can we take? For example, going and interacting with some of our projects is very helpful. Because some of our children, for example, are convinced that milk comes from the store. Cow. Yes, so we need to, systematically bring ourselves, bring our communities to do whatever we can to, again, revive and reconnect. And again, on the long term, not even long term, I would say even short term, we should be thinking and planning how some of our devotees, if we understand really that the majority of our devotees and the majority of the population are meant to be living in the country, if we really understand what that means, then we'll start making plans on how to do that. In one conversation, which is included in the book here, devotees would argue with Srila Prabhupada, or they would present different arguments. I mean, they would not directly argue with their spiritual master, but they would say, Prabhupada, because Prabhupada was saying these cities are not going to be there. One time he was walking, I think, in Boston, he lifted his cane and he said, you see these buildings? They won't be there after a while. Prabhupada was that convinced. And then the devotees were presenting different arguments, but Prabhupada, cities have been around for a long time, and it seems like they're going to be around for a long time too. And then Prabhupada said, let that happen, but with the knowledge that is there in Shastra, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, we need to demonstrate. That's part of the preaching. At this junction, extremely important part of the mission, we need to demonstrate how one is meant to live connected with cows, land, Mother Nature, and with the primary goal and objective of cultivating higher knowledge, raising our consciousness to the point of Krishna consciousness. So there's no, that I know, I mean, the closest manual, guide manual for doing this, I would say, is this book here, which is meant to be read and studied. I highly recommend that our devotees, they read this like once a week. It's like we read the Lilamrita, Prabhupada's Lilamrita. If we want to know about Srila Prabhupada, without reading the Prabhupada Lilamrita, it will take us a long time. We might hear something here and there. But if we systematically read certain literatures, and in particular this one, we begin to understand what varnashrama is all about and why Srila Prabhupada, as our founder Acharya, made such a very heavy statement that 50% of my mission is yet to be accomplished. I mean, that's very significant. And all of us, we are duty bound. If we're followers of, and we should be, of our founder Acharya and our previous Acharyas, we are duty bound to be part of and to help establish the mission and the vision of our founder Acharya. So my humble request is, try to avail of this book. It's actually, for those who have access to the folio, it's on the folio. It's in the database. Who has access to the folio database? Who knows what the folio is? Folio. Huh? We don't know. There is all of the lectures, all of the books, all of the conversations of Srila Prabhupada have been put together many years ago by what is called the Bhaktivedanta Archives. Hare Krishna. Bhaktivedanta Archives is a very important aspect where one can actually avail of all of this literature. It's called Veda base. You can Google it, I suppose. And I think they have a special a concession for Asian countries. I don't think it's so much expensive, but everything is there, including this book. And so, because it may be difficult to get physically all of the books, so the folio is a very, very practical way to also do some research and to study different subject matters. It's very user friendly, and you can just a little bit like we Google some word and we get all kinds of information. In a similar way, the folio, I use it all the time, and many devotees use it as well. So this book and also the essay Gita Nagari is also in that folio I was mentioning earlier. Krishna consciousness in itself is huge. I mean, to even know, to begin to understand about Krishna, there's so many aspects to understand about the Vedic culture, to understand about varnashrama. It's not something that we can, in one sitting. It takes time, but it takes, there needs to be a desire on the part of all of us to actually, this is described actually in the Shastra, for a disciple to actually succeed, to be successful, he must learn, he must try to understand and fulfill actually the desires and intent of his spiritual master. So Srila Prabhupada is actually the founder Acharya of our society. He is our, in many ways, primary Shiksha Guru. We read his books every day. We hear his lectures. We should try to hear. I strongly recommend actually that devotees try to hear directly so many wonderful lectures that are available actually on the internet by our founder Acharya. And in so many of these lectures, and practically in all of the books, especially in the purports of the Bhagavatam, there are so many references to varnashram. So even though varnashram may seem vague even now, and it is actually to most devotees, please be assured that Prabhupada would not have spoken about this if he did not feel it was something very important, number one, and also if he was not convinced that it is possible for us also to make some tangible progress in that direction. So my humble request is, yes, connect with, we have a ministry here in India, something that does not exist anywhere in the world. There is no other country other than India which has a varnashram ministry. I'll ask the question I asked yesterday. How many of you are familiar with the term IDVM India? Congratulations. Okay. IDVM means ISKCON Daiva Varnashrama Ministry, India, India, because it was created exactly, it means 16 years ago, 2009. It has its office in Sri Mayapur, and the present two co-directors are one devotee who's Prabhupada disciple, Vasu Ghosh Prabhu, who's the chairman or the general secretary of the ISKCON Bureau here in India, and the other co-minister is devotee by the name of Venu Gopal, who is based in Sri Mayapur, where the office is. You can write actually to them, you can get different information, etc. You can invite Venugopal Prabhu, he'll be happy to come and speak with you. He specializes in explaining, elaborating on the whole concept of varnashrama-dharma. So these are the two levels of dharma. You see, I'll end on this point, and we can hopefully have a little time for some questions or comments. Dharma is something that distinguishes humans from non-humans. If we don't know about dharma, we're not human. We're not properly developed as human beings, isn't it? And there are two levels of dharma, just like we're all sitting here today. Who's sitting here? The spirit, soul, and the body is sitting here, but it's also having this material body. So we have these two realities, spirit, soul, and the body. So we have to deal every day, isn't it, with these two realities. So Vedic culture is teaching us, okay, what is the best way to deal with these two realities of life? Matter and spirit. That's a instruction, 7.2, Bhagavad Gita 7.2, to understand the difference between matter and spirit, the origin of both, and their interaction. Yeah. So I'm making the point here that dharma is meant to be understood on these two levels. In terms of spiritual swadharma, the original nature, the original duties and responsibilities of the soul, number one, which is bhakti, devotional service. Secondly, which evades us today in modern day society, material swadharma, what is meant to be the more simple, more natural, original, and scientific duty and activity, which is more natural, more original, materially, how we should be living, what work we should be doing, etc. So these two are eternal, actually, principles, and they are very deep sciences which we need to systematically learn and learn to balance, actually, isn't it? We're doing this every day, actually. We have this body, we have to look after this body, we have to feed this body, we have to give sufficient rest. Program shouldn't go too late so that we don't go to bed so late, because there's Mangalarti the next day. It's supposed to be Mangalarti the next day. There is always Mangalarti the next day. So learning to balance. So in many ways, this fourth movement is addressing the material swadharma, whereas the other three, to a large extent, are addressing the spiritual swadharma. Now we have an imbalance, actually. We have an imbalance within, amongst ourselves, amongst our devotees, or within our society, in terms of we've developed the first three to a large extent, but the fourth one has been, for whatever different reasons, much less attended to. But now it's I would say high time and very critical that we give it the time that it deserves and that is needed as well. I will stop here. You have been a very attentive audience. Thank you very much. Congratulations to all of you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anybody has any questions? Over here.
Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes.
Pranam. Thank you so much for a wonderful class. Very silly question, Maharaj. What was this?
We take all types of questions. Silly.
You started with Asurobhya Namaha. I was hearing.
Surabhyai.
That's Surabhi cow?
Yes, Mother Surabhi. Yeah, in Sanskrit, if we address, then, I mean, the word changes a little bit, but it's referring to the original spiritual cow in Goloka, whose name is Surabhi. Yes. So that is, in Shastra, there are prayers offered to Mother Surabhi. You know, in many ways, the second phase, not the second phase, but this 50% of Prabhupada's mission is meant to be focused on cow. So that's why every day, whenever I give a class or do something, I have my bead bag. This is Om Surabhya Namaha. Yeah. So it helps me to remind myself of what is most important, and also it kind of like helps to introduce for those who may be less familiar. And we should know that the focus of to reestablish this 50%, the Prabhupada's mission, has to begin. There's a quote actually in the book, another book maybe less known, called The Light of the Bhagavad. How many know this book, The Light of the Bhagavad? A few more, not so many more, but yeah. In this book, The Light of the Bhagavad, written by Srila Prabhupada before going to the Western countries, and I paraphrase, he mentions, those who are serious in bringing about solutions to the many complicated problems of the world today must first give their attention to the protection of cows. Again, because we're so far removed from these basic principles that make up our Vedic culture, we may not immediately understand it, but our acharyas do. That's why we have to hear from them, and we have to discuss, and then we can also gradually understand more and more. Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, there is a little extension, if I can.
Huh?
There is a little extension question.
Okay.
I went to Norway, Maharaj.
You went to
Norway.
Norway.
To work.
Okay.
And I lived there about 6 years. And the goal when I was starting to Norway was, after I come back, I used to tell Leela Prabhuji, there is no more stopping in Hyderabad, but go straight to the village in Nizamabad district where your holiness was there. And I secured some land there with the intention of spending time there, or going permanently to there.
Yes.
Then I came back, and with the Grihastha life and complications, it looks like I can never get out of this rat race. But nevertheless, there is this desire to go there and settle down there and make the life simple.
Yes, yes. Well, first desire should be there, and if the desire is strong enough, in due course of time, Krishna will help, because many people have come out of the rat race, and if others can do it, why not you?
You have Gurudev Swami also blessed like this. I think someday. Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Yes. Okay, Mike is coming. He has a question. Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes. That's why you have the microphone.
So, this body, is a clothes, right? We change in different lives. But our soul.
Yes.
Our soul, how is it made or created?
How is our soul like?
Yeah. Meaning in alive or something. Made.
Body is created, how is soul created?
Yeah. So how is soul created?
Okay. Good question. Actually, the soul is eternal. This body is not eternal. This body is created at a certain time based on the modes of material nature. Means, according to our previous activities, once coming in the material world, we perform different activities, and based on those activities we get different types of bodies. But the soul is different. The soul doesn't change, and the soul is just like now what is your age? 9, yes. So the soul is eternally youthful. The soul doesn't grow old. The soul is eternally existing. It is intimately connected with Krishna, who has created the soul, the Atma, and the soul is, just like in the Bible, it is mentioned that we are created at the image of God. So Krishna, when he appears 5,000 years ago, he appears like human. He appears as a human being. He has a human form. So the soul has also that similar form, but it is completely eternal and always youthful. And that is how Krishna, he's described as Satchit Ananda. You know what is meaning of Satchit Ananda? Okay, I'll tell you. Krishna, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchit Ananda Vigraha, Anadi Adi Govinda. Yes. So Krishna, he is Satchit Ananda. Sat means eternal. Chit means full of knowledge. If you're full of knowledge, you don't have to go to school. And Ananda, full of happiness, isn't it? So when we become devotees, we begin to awaken our soul, our eternal soul, and if we practice nicely, then this body we have now, for whatever amount of time we will have this body and it will grow old. Then at one point we have to leave this body, but if we nicely practice, we will not again have another material body, we will again revive our original spiritual body. Is that okay?
I had one more question.
One more question, wow.
I don't know if this is an easy question or like.
Okay, I'll let you know. Yeah.
So like for like how to know like there's God like Krishna in the Murti.
How do we know?
Yes.
How do we know what?
How do we know like Krishna is in the idol?
The deity.
Oh, that we cannot understand ourselves. We have our method to know and to understand is by accepting what is given to us by the acharyas and what is given actually in the Shastra. At the same time, if we purify our consciousness, we can directly come to know and even speak to the deities on the altar. There are many examples, many wonderful examples, like the Goswamis of Vrindavan, because they were totally purified in consciousness, they could speak to the deities. And Prabhupada explains also, as we practice nicely Krishna consciousness, then like the Goswamis in Vrindavan, we can also speak, just like we're speaking now. And when we'll speak to the deities, we won't need a microphone. Yeah? Okay. I think somebody else has.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj,
Yes.
thank you for emphasizing the 50% of unaccomplished Prabhupada's movement
Yes.
you mentioned. So, like my question is, many devotees have some land or some farmland, but
Is it?
like myself, we also have some ancestral
Yes.
farmland.
Yes.
But I'm trying to take help from IDBM or like Subhash Palekar and Vijay Ramarao,
Yes.
who's promoting cow-based farming.
Yes.
So, is there any like consultancy provided by IDBM so that like devotees can cooperate and do this agriculture and distribute these products to devotees and temples? So, is there
Yes.
any like consultancy or whom we can approach?
Another good question. Yes, IDBM actually is there for the purpose of reaching out and helping devotees in various ways. IDVM, although it's been around for, I mentioned, last 16 years, because it's such a great undertaking, to address this 50% of Prabhupada's mission. The mandate of IDVM actually is to go in the villages, to encourage devotees to at least visit villages and whenever it's possible, help devotees prepare to actually make that kind of shift or to start activities which are connected with, let's say, village life. There's a need for IDVM to actually be present in every single state of India, which is not actually the case now. Best is to open communication with, they have a website, you can write to them, you can visit, you can make an appointment with devotees who are active, especially this devotee I mentioned earlier, Vinigopal Prabhu, who basically, in Mayapur, yeah, he's based in Mayapur. And the whole plan originally was that actually every state should have a state coordinator to promote the various activities, and that should be filtered down to every district. There should be a district coordinator. So there's a great need actually for, we very much welcome, and I'm sure Vinigopal Prabhu will be very happy. As a matter of fact, he has, when he got connected, which was when the ministry was started, he was just like coming to Krishna consciousness. He got involved from the very beginning in what is called some training kind of team. In other words, creating varnashram, VRT, varnashram research teams. This is something, I'll just share it here actually, there's some basic information that you can get from him, some guidelines that anywhere within, let's say, here in India, because it's a national ministry, devotees can come together by reading this book. He has already a number of these teams, and he's keeping connection, and in this way he is helping devotees learn more about, in a practical way, what they can do and how they can deal with their particular situation. So Varnashram research teams is one important way by which devotees who want to know more about what is Varnashrama, how we can apply it in our particular area, whether it's the country or in the city, Varnashram research teams is a very nice tool or way by which we can educate ourselves and also get some, become connected with the ministry and get some guidance. Yeah? Hare Krishna. Yes?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes.
Pranam.
Yes.
Maharaj, I had, like in my beginning days of Krishna consciousness, when I was reading this point, I got something out. Like when we say cow is like the previous, or we can say the next life of a cow will be a human being.
Yes.
That means if you see in the evolutionary cycle,
Yes.
then cow may be considered as a lower species than human being.
Huh?
Does it mean that cow is a lower species than human being?
It's a difference. We
84 lakh species.
well, cow is animal. Human is human. Animal is animal. We are also animal. In philosophy, we learn that man is a rational animal. Supposed to be rational. Not many may be, but so cow is in line in terms of different species, and from that cow body, the sequence, the natural sequence, is that the jiva, the living entity in that cow body, automatically gets a human birth. Yes. So you could say it's lower. It's a different species. In one sense, we don't like to say lower because we worship Mother Cow, and as a matter of fact, she is honored. This very well-known verse, Namo Brahmane Devaya, Go Brahmana. We first actually think about cow, even before Brahmana, because Brahmanas ultimately depend on cow. So in that sense, you could say we say it's different, it's a different species, And yes, that is the Vedic evolutionary cycle or process. Yeah.
And like also like we see many Hindus also they very much worship cow.
Yes.
They're like they may not be Krishna conscious, but they love to serve the cows and they have that what do you say kindness
Respect.
towards cows.
Yes, yes,
So they save the cows, give
Yes.
them treatment and all.
yes.
So like what will it be like having a spiritual result or because we consider go Brahmana like it's a very high cadre.
What's the last point you're making?
Will they have those who are serving cows?
Yes.
Like will they have any spiritual result? Because cow is
Yes,
considered
yes,
very
yes.
great.
Because cows are very dear to Krishna. Anyone who is serving whoever may be dear to Krishna, then they will, in their next life, even in this life, they will get all kinds of benefits by doing that. Yes, yes.
Hare Krishna. I just want to answer the devotee's question. He was specifically asking about training.
About training.
So we have a
Varnashrama-dharma.
farm community called Kamyavanam nearby. We do train farmers actually. We have trained hundreds of farmers. And we have a model of 5-layer farming. Also we have grown 6 varieties of paddy this year. So a lot of people, farmers, devotees come and learn. We come and stay and we do consultation for free.
Not that we don't want you to go to Mayapur, but there is a place here close by.
No, I'm saying we work with the Vijayaram Garu closely. He comes to our farm and do regular trainings. So anybody has farms, we are here to help.
Good point.
It's more practical. Thank you.
Yes, yes. In other words, you have something in your backyard, kind of, very close by. Yes, thank you for adding that. Yes? Is there a next question or whatever? Okay, Mike has to come here.
Here is one question.
You have questions? You are okay to take more questions?
Yeah, we can take one or two.
One.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes.
Maharaj, two questions I have.
Two?
Yes.
Okay.
Later on.
Everyone has two questions.
First is that from practical point of view, what are the things that we can take up? Yes, the big projects, yes, definitely we wanted to go there. But in our day-to-day life, being in cities, what is that you can do such that we can get to the level where our consciousness is also towards that varnashrama which you are talking about? That's first question, Maharaj.
Let me answer the question first, before we go to two. I mentioned a few points. Change your soap, change your different things that you're using. Try to get food that is actually grown from devotee grown food. Prabhupada mentioned how food that is grown by devotees and offered to Krishna increases in value 100 times. 100 times more the value of food that is grown by devotee with love and devotion. By educating ourselves, reading, discussing, and trying to understand. Also, simply by purifying our consciousness, all of our activities in devotional service, beginning with the chanting of the holy name, the hearing on a regular basis, associating with devotees, all of the regular things that we're meant to do, gradually purifies our consciousness. With a purified consciousness, we will be able to know and to understand, okay, what additional practical things we can do on a daily basis, without necessarily, as you rightly mentioned, most of our devotees are just not ready to jump into a big project, and we don't expect that to happen. So it should be a gradual type of process where we begin, where we at least have some understanding that this is something, seems to be something very important. 50% of anything is major. And there are literatures and there are references where more information can be had, and in this way we can find out more practical ways. Your second question, real quick.
Yes, Maharaj. Maharaj, with regards to Gomutra,
Yes.
that is the Amrutam in this, that's what is told. But there is a dogma that a lot of people do not want to take it, or they don't take it. That is having so much of medicinal value which will keep our body fit. Is that correct? And how we are promoting that?
Okay, the question about Gomutra. You should speak to people who are Ayurvedic doctors, because for some people it may not be what is the best, depending on the different natures of our body. So this is kind of like a medical question. There is definitely, according to Shastra, there are so many medicinal benefits, to both cow urine and cow dung. But specifically in terms of taking that as medicine, it is medicinal. It is best to consult with a qualified Ayurvedic doctor. And yes, and I'm not an Ayurvedic doctor. Okay. Yes. Maybe one last question. Matajis are very quiet this evening. No questions from. Okay. Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Yes.
I just want to know that you just mentioned about trying to use devotee-grown food.
Yes.
So I just want to ask in general to anyone whether we can get access to devotee-grown food in Hyderabad.
Yes.
If anyone is doing it and can be appropriate contacted.
Okay. I don't have a list of such individuals, and I think Sriram again might be in a position to know a bit more about that, because they are growing food. Sometimes some of that food may be available, but we definitely need more. There should be a whole, a whole network. We should actually create, as devotees, a network whereby, I know that in Bangalore there's one devotee who is making organic food available. I believe a lot of that is devotee grown as well, in just very close, a place called Tumkur, but that's a little far away from Hyderabad. You should have something similar in Hyderabad or greater Hyderabad, so that devotees can have more access. Now, many devotees actually, wherever you're living, you can begin to do something. You can start to grow some flowers on your balcony, even if you don't have such big space. You can grow a few tomato plants so that you can begin, at least on a small scale. But the point you're making is that if there are devotees who are growing and who can make it available, that network, I believe, needs to be created. If it is existing, I'm not aware of it. It's something that, again, like Srila Prabhupada, their community is not so far away. They are growing food, grains, vegetables, fruits, largely for their community, but sometimes they may have some excess, and there may be other devotees doing something similar as well. But a very good point. Thank you. Yes, yes, correct, of course. Yes, and ghee.
And paneer.
Yeah. Here we go.
So let us, in the interest of time, because we also have few activities after this, we have some wonderful books here. That Maharaj has got. There are many of them. They are in very limited numbers here, practically 5 or 6 or 10 maybe. Daiva Varnashrama interview series, very beautiful book. I have it now. Mortality in Killing Civilization. Maharaj is going to sign this for you. So right after this, you can go and purchase it. The book table is right there. And there is foundational pillars in education. Maharaj himself has written this, a beautiful book, and traditional education, selected interviews from different devotees. And of course, the book that Maharaj has shown so many times today, on Prabhupada speaking about varnashrama-dharma. I'm very interested to read this one, very nicely packaged and beautiful book. Saptarishis, founders of Vedic civilization. This is very, very limited here right now. I'm sure if you don't find a copy today, don't do a stampede here. We'll get more books for you later. I'd like to just say a few things, Maharaj, if you permit me.
Yes, please.
In the interest of what you told. We all know that famous saying, right? What is it? Rakhe Krishna Mare Koe? So what is the meaning of that? If Krishna wants to save somebody, nobody can kill him. And if Krishna wants to kill somebody, nobody can save him. I can tell one thing, that Krishna, when he wants to save somebody, he sends somebody like His Holiness Radha, Bhakti Swami Maharaj, to come and educate us how to save ourselves. So let us thank Maharaj with 3 loud and enthusiastic Hari Bol. Don't think Krishna will come like, holding a sari for Draupadi, will appear somewhere to save us. That's not going to happen, at least for us. He will come like this, in the form of his devotees, in the form of his representatives. So when somebody like, His Holiness Bhakti Swami Maharaj is here, don't think, there is somewhere else Krishna is going to come. This is how, Krishna comes. Right? Ravamatra Sadhu Sangha. It's just not a statement. Actually, the day we recognize this, our life will change. Problem is we are not recognizing that. We are thinking something else will happen, nothing else will happen. Lot of things Maharaj told today are actually very alarming. If you want to hear the recording again, you hear it. It's so essential things Maharaj told. And Maharaj told amazing things. He said 200 years are getting over now. Right? We are on the verge of the downfall of this modern civilization. And when the whole thing falls apart, Prabhuji and Mataji, we can't even chant our rounds if we don't fix it. Right? If we can't walk, if the hand is not functioning, we can't. So the same saying again. What is it? Mare Krishna Rakhe Koe? Rakhe Krishna Mare Koe. If Krishna wants to save somebody, nobody can kill him. But problem is, Krishna can't save ignorant people. Even Krishna can't save. If you're sitting like this, waiting for a solution to come, and when it comes, I'll make a choice whether I'll use it or not. How can Krishna save you? Tell me. How can he? How many want to live in a city without a hospital? You want to live in a city without a hospital? You're sure about it? Yeah. But you are living in a house without a kitchen today. Do you know that? Are you realizing that? And kitchen is our hospital. Kitchen is our hospital. And the very place where we are supposed to get medicines, we are getting poison today. And we are feeding that poison to our children. Nicely, decoratively we are feeding it. And still we are not admitting. So many things are happening. Right? I'm pleading to Mataji's here. I'm pleading. You can save the life of your family just by making some decisions. And if you make a decision, you already know that your husbands will follow. Right? You can do that. Seriously. Problem is we're not making those decisions. Like one of the things that I heard from Sripati Prabhu Maharaj whenever he comes to Hyderabad, he stays in Sripati Prabhu's house near Manikonda. Maharaj said he's not going to have anything that day. That's what I heard. I might be wrong. But then I got a call from Sripati Prabhu's wife. My wife got a call that Maharaj said he's only going to eat vegetables which are grown in a farm of a devotee in a proper natural way. That's it. Right? So the buck stops there. He said, Maharaj, you can correct me if I'm wrong. This is what I heard from my wife. And you know what is the result of that? Raju Prabhu, who lives nearby, called me and I called the farmer that I have. Luckily, I grow some vegetables. And that day I really felt I should have grown more and more varieties. But whatever was there, some milk and some vegetables, he took it. And Maharaj, we were able to serve you. We are very grateful. You honored it. Very grateful. But that would not have been possible if Maharaj would not have kept his point right there. That I am not going to eat anything. I am not going to honor any prasadam. Even if you make prasadam out of it, I am not going to take it because the principle has to be followed. And if we are so firm in following that in our homes, our lives will change. The problem is we are not doing that. And Maharaj with this example, yat yat acharati, he is saying with the example that we have to put that firm feet saying no. No means no. Right? So it's in our houses. We can do a lot of things. There is this Sadasivpet, there's a beautiful farm community started by this Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Prabhupada is sitting there. Amazing devotee. He is doing so many projects. I don't know how he does what he does. Sometimes I want to see if he has two hands or more than that. Right? But in Mysore and here and so many other things, right? So many new projects, hopefully something here also. I'm really waiting. But from Sadasivpet Maharaj, Srila Prabhu sent Giriraj Prabhu. Sri Giriraj Prabhu. Yeah. So Giriraj Prabhu, how many of you have seen him? He used to get vegetables, oils and everything here. Right? So he used to come here, Maharaj. And every Sunday evening he used to bring here. He came for like 3 or 4 weeks. And then why he stopped coming? Because he met with an accident. And you know why he met with an accident? Because he was carrying too many things on a bike to come here 45 kilometers to give it to we people who are too greedy to negotiate. And I was asking him, why don't you bring things in an auto? If you are bringing so much, you shouldn't bring on a bike. And you know what he said? Prabhu, it doesn't work out. Now the problem is we are not seeing the problem, properly. We are the problem actually. We are the problem. We are negotiating on Amrita, but we are not negotiating on poison. We go and buy poison nicely, without negotiating anything. Especially with that Swiggy, that Zomato that came. No negotiation. Whatever shit they sell, sorry to use that word, with any price, we are ready to buy it. But when a devotee is growing it, we want to negotiate and want to see whether we need it or not. I would just buy it because he got it from such a far place. And I would just eat. No, I have palak in my house already. And what would I do with palak? I mean, you can have fried palak on Monday, palak paneer on Tuesday, palak dal on Wednesday, palak bhaji on Thursday, palak pizza, I don't know what. Keep adding. Prabhuji's and Mataji's problem is we are looking for variety, and that variety is going to give us variety of diseases. That's all it is. Eat what is healthy. Of course, looking at me, you might be thinking I'm talking about health. Right? But there is a time we have to fix ourselves. The varnashram system can be awakened and we can be a part to it. Even living in this concrete jungle, God has given us enough, actually little more than what we deserve. Let's start investing in this kind of projects. There is one Sadasivpet, there can be 100 Sadasivpet, provided we invest on it. Don't negotiate on these things. If 50% of my income is going in saving my health, not giving it to Apollo Care or Kims or Sunshine, instead giving it to Sadasivpet or any of these kind of projects, why do you think it will not happen? Right? Today some devotees come to me and say, Prabhu, I have land, so what do you want me to do? Prabhu, I want to do, so why don't you do? Right? Why don't you do? No, Prabhu, I want somebody else to take that land, somebody else to cultivate that land, somebody else to send the things, somebody else to make that money, somebody else the money has to come to me, and I can go and stand in front of Maharaj and tell, Maharaj, I am doing agriculture. You are not doing agriculture. And neither are you helping agriculture. Right? Because Maharaj is here, this is the right forum to say. It's really coming out from my heart. Buck has to stop here in the kitchen. No means no. I'm not going to buy processed foods. I'm not going to, and anything, even devotional paraphernalia, I will buy everything related to cows. And it's possible, Prabhupada Mataji. If you come forward to invest a new avenue of employment you call, or Krushi you call, will come into picture, and 5 years from now, we will have 20 farmers sitting here, also working, also living in agricultural setup. It's possible. But we have to make it happen. We can be the example for the world. Why can't it start here? Right? Many of you are earning, you're doing your IT whatever, information technology jobs, whatsoever you call. But we can do that thing, right? Why don't we all visit these kind of farms instead of going anywhere here and there, right? On this Sankaranti, why don't you go to Sadasivpet? Go and nicely take darshan of cows. See what is happening. That Prabhu, I went. I took 3 farmers with me. Maharaj, I took 3 farmers with me, and he gave a wonderful class on how to do 4-layer agriculture. He gave, and I implemented that in my farm. It didn't go till 4-layer, 2-layer it went. But something happened. Today in my house, now don't come and tell me if I can sell to you. That's not the point. In my house, we are eating 80% vegetables only from my farm. 80%. Done. What is there is what is there. And sometimes it becomes so much that I have to give it out. Right? And in the last 5 years, with simple, brain that our medical education has given, how to do play logistics, 6 farmers are revived with my little idea that I'll be a medium between them and the consumers to bring pure cow milk, where cows are taken care and used in agriculture, and the milk is coming. It's going. It's working. Of course, I take the beatings. Mera doodh patla hai, my milk is like water today, this today, that today. I try to explain to some people. Some people say, you know what, forget about it. You don't want it, don't take it. Because I don't have the patience. But people have to understand, do you want to drink poison? Or do you want to drink something, you want to use something that is actually genuine? We have to make that change in our mindset. And if we do that, as ISKCON society, many people here can change their vocations and get into these kind of professions. If you can't be a farmer, be a connect between a farmer and the person who is consuming by giving Krishna consciousness to the farmer also. I give Bhagavad Gita class whenever I go to my farm. I make the farmer sit down, I tell them, don't cheat. Right? Because there is laws of karma. And they understand that. And actually they understood it. And many farmers, who came with me to the farm anytime? I don't know. Some of you have come. Yeah? You've seen those farmers. They are so grateful. They are so grateful that, now I don't have to work like a security guard. I don't have to work like a, some random job. I am still a farmer and I have 5 cows. I have 6 cows. Maximum cows each of the farmers has is 8 to 9 cows. Now, one of them has 20 cows, right? But these cows, now next thing I want to initiate is cow dung. How do I use the cow dung? Making manure out of it for your balconies. So many ideas are there. Of course, this is not a forum for that. It's already getting 9 o'clock. I don't know take. But since Maharaj is here, let us intensely take the blessings of Maharaj, that whatever thought that we are coming in, that they are coming in our minds, becomes materialized and actually start implementing it. Next time Maharaj comes here, let's show some tangible, countable, showable results. Can we do that? Yeah. And probably, if you want to increase the price, you increase it. Let him come in auto. If it's still possible, we are ready to invest. How many are going to support this? Yeah? Okay, I'll come between, standing between Krishna and Krishna has seen all lifted the hand. Let's do it. Let Sadasiv Pet become a self-reliant and profitable venture. Why not? Right? So it encourages many others. Can we do that? Yeah, every Sunday I'll talk to Prabhuji and we will get a vehicle. So what if one palak, whatever, I'm telling palak again and I don't know why, but one, bunch of palak might be 50 rupees. If you're finding it for 10 rupees outside, I still buy it for 50 because it will not take us to Basvataritam hospital. It will not take us. Let's not put that negotiating mind in front of what is most essential. Do we negotiate on number of rounds that we chant? Yeah, today I chant 12, why not 16, why 14? No, right? We made a vow. We are not making a vow to help ourselves. That is the problem. We are not making a vow. We are just talking superficially. And Matajis, I don't know how much you all are earning if you are working outside. Don't kill your families by giving them poison. That's the most important thing, the most important role that you have to play. The entire family is depending on you in the kitchen. If you are giving them poison, then who can save? Even Krishna cannot save. I'm specifically telling it to Mataji because you are very good at maintaining, the ashram of a wife and maintaining the house. Right? And Prabhuji was supporting, great, but this change is needed. So without any more delay, so Maharaj is here. So we have the books here. Maharaj also said that one of the legs is education. Right? So let's read these books, which will remove most of our doubts. And let's start connecting with many others. There are not only ISKCON devotees, there are many other people who are actually out there looking for customers who understand them and take the right things. They will also become Krishna conscious one day. Let's serve cows. There was a cow here, Subhadra, who came here, and I'm very so happy that Maharaj came and he prayed to the cow, and that cow is going to be so much, taking care of all of us, right? Save the soil, save the cow, save dharma, and save yourself. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So Maharaj is going to come up tomorrow. So some of you who have donated Bhagavatams, 430 odd Bhagavatams, almost 400 are gone. So out of the 400, around 50 of them, if Subhara Prabhu is right, 50 of them? Huh? Yeah, 30. How many come up here this morning? 60 Bhagavatam sets tomorrow, Maharaj, from your lotus hands. They will go to the eligible Purohits. So we are so fortunate that Maharaj is going to, give it. So this is very important that we are spreading the knowledge. So any other announcement, Prabhuji? You have something to say, Prabhu? Yeah? Okay. So once again, let us thank everybody who came with Maharaj also. All the Prabhujis, the glorious Prabhujis who are here, Sriram Prabhu and all the other names that I can't remember. Let us thank them with 3 loud and enthusiastic Hari Bols. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Any concluding words, Maharaj?
Share Hare Krishna, be happy.
Haribol!
Hare Krishna. That reminds me one very important announcement. Yeah. Surpalak Nitya.